You know, we are regions, you are state.
Mm-hmm.
Spain is a state, strong one, Madrid. And then it's a capital city. And then there are the other country, like Paris is Paris, and then the other, you know, is the rest of the country. In this country, you have two, I don't want to say two enclave because it's not the right way, but two regions with a strong identity. And you explained perfectly to me the difference between Basque and Barcelona, I mean, and Catalonia, even if I know the difference because I work with both. I know perfectly. He passed away, one of my best friends was Basque, so I know exactly what you mean when you say you can't speak and learn Basque at all. But let's say my question was about not only the diversity that we can understand, that are the environment, the economy, but it was exactly about, you know, the climate, but it was about culture. And you explained perfectly the cohesion is different. So the culture somehow is a driven force, right? I mean, the identity,
yes.
the cultural identity is a driven force for, you know, some kind of development. So thank you so much for this resume, Vera.
Yeah, I just would like to ask you a practical question. You are talking about post-industrial development, which is also the case in our country, in Slovakia. I have a practical question. How do you deal, for example, with these industrial areas? They don't work any longer. They can't work any longer because they are not efficient enough, whatever. Is that a development, the tendency to destroy old buildings, or when you keep the old buildings, how do you look for the ideas? How do you collect the ideas for the new aim, for the new role of these buildings, if you understand what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes, of course. Thank you. Very, very appropriate question. I think that has been several phases in the process. When the industrial crisis, started in a strong way here in the Basque Country in 70s, the employment arrived at 40% among young people, and in general terms around 25. So the first reaction, and also combining with the natural floods and the political violence and so all together, and also, and it's very important, the final step of the dictatorship, because Franco was dying in those moments, all together, I think that the first reaction was that we have to go ahead. We have to rebuild. We have to re-engage with the history. So the main effort was like when you have a problem at home, and you have a problem with the water, and the water is losing, or you are in the bathroom and you are losing the water, and so you start to stop the water, trying to stop the key, and so to trying to clarify the situation. So in those moments, we can say in 80s, 1990s perhaps, or 80s and half or 90s, the first reaction was trying to stop, trying to re-engage with the economic activities and so, and the role of heritage was down, because it wasn't matter what kind of decisions was taken or were taken, because the main issue was economy and employment, and so the possibility to survive. After that, I think that we recuperate, or the authorities, but I say we because I think that it has been a collaborative process. It has been a very intensive collaborative governance between public, non-profit, and citizenship. And I think in the second step, we re-engage that one of the main issues was to preserve the identity, was to preserve a logical approach to the renovation, trying to give it more identity to the evolution. The self-government was a critical issue. In the 80s, the Concierto Económico was approved, and was that the Basque institutions have the possibility to collect the taxes. And it has been a key aspect to solve the problems, because the money was here, was not in Madrid, was here. So the distance between the authorities, the people that they were taking decisions, and us was very short. I was walking on the street and was the possibility to cross with the president of the Basque government, the president of the province government, with the mayor, with the rest of people that were in charge of. And I have the possibility to say, oh, my dear president, I have to comment to you. So the short distance, it's very important in the governance. And I think that in the second phase, the culture, in an open concept of culture, was introduced in the debate. And perhaps one of the main contributions of the Guggenheim Museum wasn't the Guggenheim Museum, was the controversial discussions inside the society about the convenience or no of using so many money in this project, and what kind of impact has in the culture budgets for other kind of activities and so. And all the controversies around it was very, very interesting, because some other projects were born in the moment that the Guggenheim was making as reaction to the Guggenheim Museum. Around 90%, 85% of people was against the Guggenheim Museum in the service that we used in the 90s. So it means that the people don't believe it in the project. And so it means that all the atmosphere in the 90s were very, very interesting to remove the consciousness, to recuperate some elements from identity, and to introduce the role of the creativity inside. And it has been a cultural debate, but has spread to environmental approach, economic, social, combining, I think, a very interesting experience lab. I don't know if I have answered to you, but
no, there was
I have tried.
Yeah, it was a very interesting point for me, I think for the other people as well. So when you walk on the street, you can meet some important people and you can talk to them. So they don't try to escape of you. They want to talk to you. This is important, isn't it? Because yeah, well, then you can, and they want to listen. This is the question. Did they want to listen to you?
I perhaps, I don't remember, perhaps, do you remember that, for example, when I was young, not so many years ago, that Olof Palme was walking in Sweden, and was possible that the Prime Minister of Sweden, without any kind of help and policemen or policewomen around him, was walking in the Stockholm streets. And when Olof Palme was assassinated, the European history changed, because all the politicians started to have several security system around him or her, and so the distance between citizenship and politicians changed. And when I was saying that was possible to speak with the president and so, it's not like exactly that in every place you can join to the president and say, no, but there are on the street, there are they are taking part in the activities and in the common life that you have. So it's possible to say, oh, this is, for example, in my neighborhood, that it's in a middle class neighborhood, it's also with people from different countries also. And so it's possible to see the Councillor of Finance that now is discussing the next generation projects with the central government and European institutions. And it's walking to the same supermarket that I'm entering. So it means that I have 1 meter and say, good morning, good morning. So, and if I want to say to him, you have to take into account the universities in your projects and improve research and A+D and so, I can it. I made it. I have the opportunity to make it. No, so this is governance. No, I think it. Thank you. So.
Thank you.
Okay, so
there is Patrizia Montori.
Yeah, Patrizia. You mute, Patrizia.
Patrizia, are you there?
Excuse me. Hi, I am an architect, so I am a little question about the museum by Franco Gehry, because in the world of architecture there is a lot of speak about, a lot of talk about this amazing project, about the effect on the city of this project, the famous effect Guggenheim. And what do you think about this project? There was this important, this positive effect on the city, or no?
Mm-hmm. Is the question. This is the question. Okay. It's not a question, it's the question. And I think that it's very interesting. I'm member of the Friends of the Museum. I took part in the first presentation made by Frank Gehry with the same with the first maqueta that was showing the preliminary project of the museum. And there were a lot of workers of a company that was collapsed and was closing. And they have in the manifestation, they have in a piece of paper that the claim was less culture and more employment. This was Bilbao in the final step of 80s. Less culture, more employment, and all the workers there. And I was crossing to the presentation, and they threw a lot of eggs against the people that were coming in. My pity was that I was young, so I have no because I was young. I have no the capacity to react in those moments and trying to near to the workers, trying to debate with them about what was the meaning of this less culture, more employment. But I think that was very interesting. So it means that I was in favor of the Guggenheim Museum, and I am in favor of the Guggenheim Museum nowadays. And this is two argues I say because the following argue that I are going to use. I think that there is no Guggenheim effect. And I think that the Guggenheim Museum is now the main project that Bilbao has developed in the last 40 years. I use a very common expression, but I think that it's very useful to clarify my idea. I think that the Guggenheim Museum is the cherry on the cake. And in all cakes, you need a lot of different parts that are going to fulfill the cake. And finally, when you go to give like an ingredient final to the cake, you put something on it, in a cherry or an other kind of element that it's going to give it brilliant, more brilliant. But the main important aspects in the transformation of the city is in the environmental aspect, dimension, the recuperation of the river, the new concept of the mobility. For example, the metro is moving more than 90 million people by year. Do you imagine in this narrow space that is the metropolitan area of Bilbao to put these 90 million people moving by car? Only one people or a couple of people moving by car. It means the old metropolitan area collapse. So the river, recuperation, the water, and so the mobility. In social terms, the cohesion, all the social guarantee incomes, the social protect system, health, education, social policies, and so in economic terms, in the way that the new economic activities have been born. and in the cultural dimensions, in the way that the Basque identity has contributed to a modern culture. For example, we have more than 1,000 PhD theses that are written in Basque, but they have the international mention. So it means that the researcher that has fulfilled the PhD thesis has used the Basque language, so in a language that it's spoken by no more than 1 million people. But it has been in other universities in the world, completing the international mention of the PhD process. And finally, it's going to appear the Guggenheim Museum. So in the moment that the Guggenheim Museum is appearing, you have fulfilled a transformation of the city after the best collapse that we have lived in the city in the 700 years. So I don't know if I have answered to you, but first idea, I am in favor of the Guggenheim Museum. I think that it has been a marvelous project to be included in Bilbao. But second, I think that it's now the main project that we have developed in the last 40 years.
Okay. Okay. Someone else?
We can just discuss about what is the meaning of museum for a nation. So in the nation, you know, a museum is the final representation of a nation, of the strength, of the wealth. So this is what I see when I saw Gary Museum, that is a bit Guggenheim Museum. That for me is quite interesting, because I agree. As an urban planner, I never consider it as the spinning for the development. It's just because the development was already there. It was developed that there was. I like this cherry on the cake. Really, I agree with that. It's 11:15. That means that is 45 minutes of my lecture over.
I'm sorry.
No. It was quite interesting. No, it's just for our organization.
We can start with Paola.
I don't know. I think they need something just to break. I mean,
okay.
But I would like to ask to the people, I mean, the students that are here, if they wish to have a break, and you know, we have just 15 minutes left. Would you like that we start and we work for, let's say, till 11:30? Is it fine for you? Is okay for you?
Yes, it's okay for me, at least.
Thank you, Olga. Is someone else that is, let's say, or is someone, let's say in this way, someone cannot stay till 10:30? Okay, let's do in this way. We can have just 5 minutes break for all the participants to breathe. I had my coffee, so and then we are going to start